We are here with Poets with a Purpose, and I'm just waiting to see if and Noel's here. So let me bring Noel in. And so there you go, Noel. You're here, and this is Poets with a Purpose.
Sure, absolutely. Well, my name is Noel Figueroa. I'm also known as the Anointed Pen. I am the host and creator of the Poets with Purpose Poetry Workshop. It's a forum that I created to connect poets of all interests, of all levels of interest in poetry, of all levels of skill in regards to the poetic arts, where us poets can come together to be inspired and to be an inspiration, to network, to support, and to encourage each other in the poetic arts. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have gathered a few poets from the group to represent the group as a whole. Each of these poets that you'll be hearing from today, I admire and respect each of them for their own contributions to the poetic arts. They have blessed me with their presence on many occasions. They have shown me much support and much encouragement in the forum that I created, and I strive to be an equal support to them in their endeavors and in all that and in all that they do. So I'm very grateful to be connected with them. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to support them and push them and all that they put their hands to do. And without further ado, the poets you'll be hearing from today will be in the order as follows. We'll be starting off with Ameerah Shabazz-Bilal, followed by Julie Bolt, then Felix Guzman, Carla Sherry, Tessa Matiella, Taneeka Wilder, and then Tanya Ivanova. And then after Tanya, I'll be doing the closing. So without further ado, Ameerah, if you're ready, you can take the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of this event. Thank you, Noel. I am Ameerah Shabazz-Bilal. I am the founder and facilitator of an organization of female poets, better known as When Women Speak. I'll be giving or offering or reading 3 poems today. We are the moon marked by and touched by sun. But when the sea turns back, it will leave our shapes behind. We do not mix love with pity nor hate with scorn. We do not dwell within our birth or divinities. We are ageless and still seeking our sisters, witches in Dahami. Wear us inside their coiled claws as did our mothers mourning. We have been women or woman for a very long time. Beware my smile, our voice is treacherous. Our voice is treacherous as old magic. So when women speak, listen. Her tongue be like fire, lay between the sparks. We recognize mama, granny, auntie, and them ancestral voices that bled so we could be fed. When women speak, we awaken our fictive kins, using pens, spoken word, telling tales of framed pain. When women speak, it takes a moment to articulate that the echo we hear is the voice of those who speak back. But when real women speak, they say, sister, come. Their words are like age salve. When women speak, they may identify as a Christian witch, a gemmed angle, a Mother Teresa, a Sister Fatima. But shout out, she is Hagar, mother of all nations. She is Lilith, who is demonized by men for loving her freedom. She is even Mary Magdalene, who saw crucifixion and resurrection. Some call her Aunt Sarah, Seraphona, Sweet Thing, or Peaches. Are you afraid? Are you afraid of her magic? When women speak, do you hear the sound? It echoes in jovial waves of her laugh, the joy of binding generational curses. Do you hear the sound? When women speak, we suck back generational trauma with a straw. The ceiling is broken. We've kicked in the doors. We scream triumphantly for the generations before. When women speak, we speak life into death. Our voice becomes the soprano songs to purpling moons, red harvest moons, telling men they ain't a thing without womb men. When women speak, we be every woman if need be, and sometimes we just be she. Realizing our voice matters too. We speak loudly through generations strong. We be women. You tremble with terror when women speak because her tongue be magic, and our mothers were right to teach us we are what we eat. Flesh upon flesh upon flesh, queens feast on the manna of love in all its languages. Lyrical libations are nectar that siphon through our veins. We give libation and untie reins, queen after queen after queen, and Hawa be Eve, and Eve be Hawa, and no one tell Eve to hush when women speak. No one leaves home unless home is on fire, she said. No one runs from roots, echoes of mama's stories. Dad snores and rants of impatience turned into night screams in daytime, and tears of bring them back to me. And no one could kneel on knees, wounded, praying with tears over trails that long ago washed out, land spirits buried into tribal spaces, war paint made into makeup to make over our nations. We are not God's creation. Souls stand silent, watching little tattered suitcases in little hands being ripped from bloody fingers the size of French fries. And oh, the muffled cries inside because outside is bigger and harder than holding in fear. Ears stood silent, hearing babies and women and toys that used to squish and squeal with joy. They screamed from cages around flesh mounds covered with silver blankets that kept no one warm. Because the chills ran deep from the openings of rips where parents were torn from their offspring, and swollen breasts cried for the children denied them. We denied them. Voices were soundless when little toy boys shot pellets from rifles into flesh that looked like their own, defending bloods of diamonds and lands they never thought they would have to defend. Because it was just theirs until home wasn't home. An occupation of a nation took all their station, leaving only flaws and rocket shells, not blood ties of family. Whole men cried into stone, tears that hardened children's necks, strong enough to carry life, fear, tears, and rifle gear. No eye opened when the ripped skin from torsos tarred that which was black, hung exotic fruit on trees, and buried nothing from sight because visions were blind anyway, blinded away real humans into invisible, picking and plucking them at their leisure, floating them down river, even though they knew rivers ran north, not south, and no one could swim. And little worn suitcases patched with holes from sight, holding nothing, can't float. No one leaves home unless home is on fire. Free world, where are you? Free, freedom, free life. I remember my mama, my thoughts, my wondering of why, mama, did you march? Mama, did you march on Washington? Did you sing praise Jesus songs and we shall overcome? Mama, were you quiet? Were you quiet when they raised the gun to our sons, when they hosed them to wipe the fire from? All the while, strange fruit hung. Mama, did you march when the bombs dropped on Gaza? I thought it might have been Philadelphia. I remember Anne Frank and her diary like mine. Slaughters daily, gas and bombs. I remember from that little schoolgirl desk, thinking, how could the free world rest? I remember them white dresses painted with red droplets of church girls' bloods, baking people like turkey breast. I remember guns drawn over open grounds, filled with lives gone on. I remember all was still until the baby under her mama's breast quaked the earth, and the ground did not rest with life, and she was the only one left. Did you sip your colonized tea or coffee and say, thank God it wasn't me? Somebody's mama, daddy, did you march holding flags of country lines in solidarity, burnt fringes, edges soiled with hate? Did you march? Did you lay your rifle down in pastures filled with babies' breath? Tell me, were you silent in this human story, desensitized to those who hold guns, taught hate, until it's hate you give that teaches worlds to bleed, tied to Black boys shot in backs and brown boys blown apart, colonizers facing cheering, thinking, saying, well, maybe he deserved that. Tea tastes a little salty. I'ma get on my knees. I'ma thank God it wasn't me. My lips were sealed when toy boy soldiers marched on country lines, wearing guns the size of their baby brothers after warlords killed their mothers. Tell me, did you march? My womb be massacred as each fertilized egg I dropped be a threat to what was taken, murdered, marginalized, crucified, never set free. I have the hardest time understanding how Rwanda could fall and tell between the black skin tags who was me and who was you, who to maim and ethnic cleanse with skin like mine and blood the color of ethnic genocide. Mama, did you march? Did you sit in silence because the land wasn't yours? Did you spray lamb's blood over your door? Never, ever will I tell the story of how David slew Goliath. It didn't end well. It caused selective amnesia in Gaza, where in all directions is a human prison. The gatekeepers with short memories hold the gun. I mean the bomb. I mean the freedom to oppress. I mean the people. I mean the children. I mean the indigenous. I mean the unpromised. I mean the slingshot holders, rock throwers. I mean Jim Crow. I mean apartheid. It's all South. I mean unlearned colonization was history. I mean history is always now. I mean history will teach you how to march. Will you? Will you march? Who kills children while gamers watch and bet on melanated bloods, whisper without regret? Not me too. We, the dead, sip our colonized tea and scroll by asking, where's the march? Why are you marching? Why are you shouting? Why are you staring at a TV, crying over propaganda? I remember the scene when the 60s rolled out of steam, when the emancipation tree was burnt to the ground and the people had nowhere to go. And the little boy in 2 large shock-proof rubber boots who holds a slingshot with a rock, waving it high overhead. Did you hear the whiz over the drones, over the bombs, over the bullets in the skies? They killed children. Did you march? They kill children. The ground moves. Gold letters painted melt back into cracks. They kill children. Wombs bleed a future hate. They kill children. If the children live, there's no debate. The march will go on. And where will you be? We passed their graves, the dead men there, winners or losers, did not care. In the dark, they could not see who had gained the victory. Peace at any length is just a short life of dignity. Poem.
Powerful, Ameerah. Thank you so much for coming through with those powerful pieces. Ameerah, feel free to put your social media links in the chat. Thank you so much. All right, next up is going to be Felix Guzman.
Yes, so hello everybody. So my name is Felix Guzman. I am a poet, community organizer, and advocate. I have a fledgling company that I'm looking to build up called Poetry Saved My Life. and I'll be performing, time permitting, 3 poems. And I will just go into it. So this is called The Madness of Individuality. So much to be concerned about. Impending crises are never ending. To navigate existence, it's a delicately balanced compassion and dignity at all times. When internal conflicts are left unaddressed, anchored becomes us. Because life is going to life, and to avoid reality isn't conducive to finding a path outward of unabated pain. We, churches in the wild, gravitate towards being refuges for others by default and surrender our peace to grief. Grieving the us before indulging in masochism to console, offering condolences for the living, they not knowing it, because failing to live into purpose is a perpetual death. In the same way, the amount of empathy required to simply just be can be a prison of one's choosing. So be concerned. Concern yourself with the madness of individuality, for it is the artist who author the beauty that vividly abounds, circumscribing us within a world where one might need to faith it until they make it, or be consumed by dog-eat-dog ideology. Always is life about relationships, the present heartbeat, and the one that preceded it, and the one to follow. Dawn and dusk and everything bookended and not between its pages margins. Isolation and epiphany, disorder and remedy, water and life, dis-ease and contentment, trauma and post-traumatic growth, resilience and breakthrough, and so forth. Learning and wisdom are distant cousins, possibly never needing to think lesser demands ignorance to be armor. We are flags planted where we stand, commanding salute, I like to think. Breath is an honor. Be as the wind to do all by your volition. Burden bearers of legacy are the change ages needed years before. For those who will pitter-patter after the fact, there is requirement. They live into precedence for the dreams and potential yet fulfilled. It is a rite of passage to write yourself eternal in the hearts of passers-by. Acknowledge the distance between the memory to its passing as required for building bridges back across continents and DNA. It is justice so poetic to stoke the fires of curiosity zealously. Without an audience, does a work go appreciated by anyone but the creator? We, works in progress and works of art, are all but ash and dust soon to be. Let us begin always again to never lose the glimpse of our greatness, just as we were born from it. Thank you. This one is called Participation Trophy. Participation Trophy. Broken by the marginalization of silence and understanding on all sides, pacifism and absolute violence, my mutism allows for existence and grace. The palpable fire of propitiation, if atheism or agnosticism isn't your cup of Bustelo, it assures the most pressured and without whose question is needing an answer. Are we saints or sinners if tried by public opinion, or agents of distraction by default? How does one navigate incarceration if the fight isn't there? Conscientious observer held hostage by the institutional bookend of Rikers Island, a Quetzal locked within a cage, within a cage, within a cage. I'd rather die than engage in the theatrics of Jedi mind tricks. Braggadocio and chauvinism, gorillas captive in the wild, banging on the chest to favor the expected character development society has come to expect. Breathing is a participation trophy in this thing called life. In a world so dog-eat-dog, not everyone is promised the bells and whistles of a celebration for coming in place. Third place barely gets any recognition, but no one says it. Second place is the first to lose. Everyone knows that to be true. First place is the prize of the privilege whose legacy of generational wealth is long enough to guarantee his kindness for crash test dummies or a beacon for those who pray with an E. Logic tells amplifying the problem moves you further from solution, regardless how the capitalist at the helm spin it. A life of substance, this isn't it. Profiting off the failure of personal prophecy, why am I different? Do I have the privilege to understand justice for what it is? Or am I not strong enough to compartmentalize, believing others deserve more than what they have, not their traumas? Neither nor and or does it make a difference to suppress this, to express this, or is it a waste of time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears? I'm struggling to justify not becoming the animal I feel like society sees me as. I'm angry seeing people in need of help because I've been there knowing no one cares enough to do more than offer silent prayer at best or deny eye contact. A church in the wild, the cognitive dissonance it takes to disassociate from acknowledging there is no such thing as personal space or safety means you need to live, you need to leave New York City to save your soul. This poem has been a journey in and of itself, if you haven't noticed. This poem is about oppression. We will never see change if we can't admit the difference between us. There are lessons all around us within each breath and surrender. If I could be remembered for any words, let them be, are we ever wise at all if we aren't teachable? Perseverating might help others be themselves, but it never helped me to reach my potential. It only anchored me in anemic frustration, self-deprecation, and depression, or did it? Still a bit on the periphery of believing in normalcy, but because I've been through hell, I've got to understand heaven to be on the horizon. Not trying to sound morbid, moroso, and any other synonym, but celebrate your friends and favorite poets while they're here. Scratch that or not. I repeat, celebrate your favorite poets while they're here. Not sure how many passes around the sun are in my future or yours for the fact. People think of me as this put together force of nature, but I'm not outside of being on a stage and or behind a microphone. I don't know who I am. See, I've got all this power on the tongue, but I just can't seem to love myself. Could it be the scars on my arms that tell stories no one cares to want to hear about? Shush, no one wants to hear about suicide attempts on a Saturday, let alone any time. Could it be the way symmetry rules my face and how my smile isn't memorable for good cause? Could it be my social awkwardness that doesn't let me know what safety is in a relationship, causing me to fail and fall time and time again in relationships with sadists, Jezebel spirits, and jealous companions? Could it be I might be overthinking every moment past the moment needs me to be present for? Sometimes I go down a rabbit hole and I don't know where I will end up, but I know I'd rather know my friends' lights burn bright in the world than to learn about their eternal dimming. I'm not trying to bring you down, but what I want you to do is to think about the individual journeys of everyone in this room, to be here at this moment when the world is imploding around us. Are we? Yes, we are, but punctuation marks in the biography of the earth, helping to emphasize inner beauty and sentient resiliency. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, Felix. Powerful poetry. Thank you so much for coming through. Be sure to put your information in the chat. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, next up is Carla Sherry.
Good afternoon, Noel. It's a pleasure to be here in support of Poets with Purpose and Rewilding. And I have 3 pieces that I'm going to share. So this first poem is called Epitome, and it's from my book called Honeysuckle Me. Epitome. My doctor said I should lift weights to build my strength, but I heard that butterflies in the Amazon sit on the faces of crocodiles, drink their tears to glean the salt. Man, I want to learn to be as bad as that. This next piece is called Flourish. Sometimes while I'm walking down my block, I hear somebody say, "What is that smell?" Sometimes it means somebody stepped on ginkgo biloba seeds. They're orange, round like cherries, smell like rotten peaches. Ginkgo biloba grows full in northern sun, inhales pollution, exhales fresh air, unbothered by winter's rock salt. Leaves like fans. If you're born here, you rep for your city. Where I'm from, we cross our arms for the BX. We love our fireworks in July, but baby, they got nothing on the arboreal explosion of yellow every autumn. The ginkgo biloba thrives in tight spaces, resists disease, and when it comes to soil type, it isn't fussy. It's just like those of us who grew up in shoulder-to-shoulder apartment buildings, shared walls thrumming with congas and R&B bass, who ride racing iron horses over spit-out sunflower seeds, coffee cups stashed under the seats, copies of AM New York left on top, coughing and sneezing outside the elbow, 5 million pairs of hands on poles, cigarette breath and smoky clothing, wide hips and on man-spreading legs tight against yours, because God knows we're all tired and need a seat. An open book or your phone are the best targets for your eyes. And if you're still on after 10 p.m., you better move if you see somebody stumbling and bent over at the waist. Urban planners recommend the male ginkgo bilobas to avoid the slime of stepped-on female seeds. But where I live in the Bronx, our concrete and streets ain't just for sneakers, man-sweaty basketballs. High heels, open-toe sandals, jellies, they got you. Buildings stand up to the bounce of Big Ma, Abuela, aunties calling us to come back upstairs. Clothing racks in Fordham Road crammed with dresses and leggings, built to hug the brown and black body positive. Why should we experience beauty and life without the mess that comes with being female? I once bled onto the seat of a taxi cab when my fibroids were at their worst and my pad had overflowed, but you should meet my son, a 6-foot vessel of golden brown skin, light, compassion, poetry. He is my son, my shade when I am joyful, and my shelter on the sad days. Okay, and the last piece is called Can We Talk? Can we talk? You, who named me spotted lanternfly, who drowned your hotcakes in maple syrup, who despise my appetite for the sap of the maple, the oak, the sycamore, who despise the mold and fungi that grow from my honeydew, who shout, if you see one, step on it, take a picture, join the battle, let's beat this bug, who bypass discarded receipts, Dunkin' Donut cups, and candy wrappers cluttering your gutters and sidewalks, who rage as we rest on walls or benches, flex perfect Black spears on our forewings, red and black brilliant plumes of our hind wings, you, so dissatisfied by your divine design, your malodors, deprive our global forests and we who live in them of trees for your palm oil plantations, mascara and lipstick, hairsprays and perfume that confuse the bees, emanate volatile organic compounds, build a mantle of ozone into air pollution, killing 7 million of you and 100,000 dolphins, seals, sea lions, and whales each year from the BHT, BHA in your shampoos and body washes, who stifle our coral reefs, you, whose single-use micro and other plastics take 100 to 500 years to disintegrate in landfills. I ask you, scourge to scourge, what can we do to stop you from killing us all? Thank you.
Excellent, Carla. Thank you so much. That was Carla Sherry, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, next up, I'm going to call Tessa Matiella.
Hello, my name is Tessa Matiella. I will put my Instagram hashtag up in a minute, or whatever it's called. This is something from today. Clouds from all angles. There's something about a non-heavy, non-brooding cloud, light-filled, wide Texas highway. Something in those non-heavy, gas-filled, lightly floating, puffy white clouds with sunlight shining from behind them on a high hillside off a more than 6-lane highway above a sunlit strewn wide open sky. Something that seems to be filled with God, with spirit and hope and peace. The quiet knowing of a hill country revelation. Within a quiet neighborhood tucked in the hill country of a southern central Texas city, I jog up the incline of a cul-de-sac for the 12th time. As the sun rises in the sky, the climate outside begins its daily metamorphosis into the atmospheric conditions of a North American desert. As the sun's rays blaze, they blast out, burning, heavying heat. My feet, in a steady jogger's rhythm now, carry me as I pass through glorious, cool pools of shade from trees. As their shadows stretch across the street, it dawns on me, it is the trees and other forms of flora in nature that are keeping me going, providing me and any other beings outside at this time a mercy, a kindness, a comfort from the oppressive summer heat. How gracious is nature now at this time, has been in the past, and hopefully will continue to be through time. Maybe we need nature as much as nature needs us. Let's you and I make efforts to sustain this blessing from the holy. A nature walk and writing assignment. Walking onto the trail, I immediately feel the wind take its breath, seemingly claiming its power. Trip-trapping across the bridge, viewing the colorful flowers and butterflies, I am transported into another place and realm. I tread on. The sun on my back heats up my shirt, making me want to remove layers. Mustard yellow, lemon yellow, butterfly wings and wildflower petals greet me along the path. Quiet reigns for now, except for the sandy squish of my feet on the gravel as I continue walking. Squish, slide, crunch, slide. Green trees grow healthy and happy around me. Some so close together they seem to kiss and hug one another in symbiotic growth. Cedar, oak, mesquite, maybe even a weeping willow. I stop. Birds call out their happiness of the early warm sunlit day. The woodland dove's haunting hollow call seems to be the most prevalent of all the birds at this time. The call is slow and low sounding. I continue my walk. I write and stop and write. My pencil moves across college-lined paper until it begins to wear down in sharpness. I miss this sharpness for now, but continue to write and take words about nature as they speak or flow to me. Squish, slide, crunch, slide. Squish, slide, crunch, slide. Another bridge greets me. I climb across her beams, wondering what lies beyond. I began my walk back to the venue for the second part of the writing exercise. A strong wind gust asserts its presence again, blowing through the pavilion, whistling through the rafters. Not to be outdone, a little girl calls out, "Daddy." I drink in the moments as they continue speaking to me. Team victory in yellowish orange. Back to the summer of 1983, on our backs are yellowish orange Adidas soccer team jerseys with the name Tigerettes in raised puffy white velvety lettering across the front and back. Up and down the field we run, moving the ball forwards, trying to score goals. It is moved in the direction of the team's goalposts. Suddenly, it is moved in the direction of our goalposts. The energy of the onlookers is now more frenzied. "Turn it around, girls! Get it back!" Realizing that it must be later in the game than we thought, the forwards gather the last bits of energy, and the ball is kicked towards our defenders. It is blocked and kicked out and away. Suddenly, the ball is passed to Michelle. She is ready and has a clear shot of the opposing team's goal. With one huge slam kick, Michelle sends the ball straight into the team's goal. Score, goal. The Tigerettes have made another goal in the final minutes of the game and won. People cheer and jump up and down on the sidelines. The sweaty, thirsty, and some beat red-faced girls walk toward the sideline. Our reward, sweet, tangy, moisture-filled apples and orange slices. We devour them. Our game won, our thirsts quenched. A victory shared, emanating from our hearts.
Oh, excellent, Tessa. Thank you so much for sharing today. That was Tessa Matiella, ladies and gentlemen. You can find her information in the chat. And next up, we have Ms. Taneeka Wilder.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Taneeka Wilder. I'm an author, a poet, writer, and today I'm going to share with you a few poems from different voices. The first poem I'm going to share with you is from my book, On the Precipice of Love Illuminated. I wanted to start off with a meditation, and all these poems are dedicated to hope, healing, and love. Who do I say I am? I'm strong. I'm beautiful. I'm a glorious child of God. I am the sun, the moon, and the tranquil waters that reside by my feet. I am your sister. I am your mother. I am your brother. I am the peace that calms the sea. I am the mountain when the storm brews. I am the love that resides deep in my soul. I am the light that shines for the entire world to see. I am the story, the glory, and the face of my ancestors. I am the survivor and thriver, not the victim. I am the teacher. I am the inspiration. I am the guide. I am who I say I am. I am me, complete, whole, incomparable, never obsolete. This next piece is entitled Moon Glow, and it's a message from the moon. Last night, I had a conversation with the moon about the meaning of life, about friendship. She said, fall in love with typos. Fall in love with grammatically incorrect nonsense syllables that only make sense when control ceases to be the God you pray to. She said, I dare you to die. No, I dare you to die so you could drown, be stripped of your defenses, be rebirthed within the iceberg of depths you never thought you can swim in. Does this scare you? If it does, nothing is as scary as never allowing yourself to fall in love with typos that patiently request your vulnerability to shine within the bosom of healthy connections. Connections that draw out the greatness in you, unlocking layers locked up in vaults. Not like those hushed up relatives you don't want anyone to know you're related to, but authentically augmenting a version of you that rises beyond a phoenix. Embracing, acknowledging that you were always more than enough. This is why I say, fall in love with typos, because they suffer from enough corrections, from enough destructive criticism that receive daily blows hitting harder than Tyson. Soul crushing your spirit, because even in the midst of your own DNA, you damn your progress searching for perfection. You sabotage your own scriptures instead of asking divine source to make in you the type of friend you always wanted seated at your table. For if you see me illuminating your night sky, where I wax, where I wane, where sometimes my moods eclipse the light, know that I still love you, because I still love me and my shadows. I trust in you to keep me safe the way I value you in keeping me bright. Because friends, true friends, ignite flames in each other, open up new worlds of being, living, feeling, seeing, never fearing backspaces, dishonor, or callous deletion, because they learn to fall in love with typos daily, because they learn to fall in love with life daily, even when life tries to keep them under. They buck the king's English because the king will never be able to speak their tongue to see the punctuation marks of their reality that play tic-tac-toe with their depression, their anxious thoughts that keep them looking at me in the night for hope. So I beg of you to exhale into the lungs of your own existence. Steep yourself in the tea of self-acceptance. Internalize your own validation. Cry real tears without seeing yourself as weak. Promise me that when you look for consistent devotion, loyalty, commitment, as you see those elements in me, be a friend to you, then follow up with being a friend to we. This is how you fall in love with typos. So never allow anyone to say that you're not beautiful or never a moth. You're a whole galaxy. Love the moon. And this last piece is a message from the Creator, and it's entitled The Seventh Day. And on the seventh day, there was love. Love pouring like confetti from cobalt skies. Eyes blinded from prejudices of colors. Colors blasted over pillowy trees of ripe, dangling fruit. Fruit suckled from the mouths of babes. red, delicious apples devoured with the seeds of wisdom, amber entrusted shea butter skin finally welcomed with open arms, along rivers and lakes flourishing with the taste of lavender and honey. But on the seventh day, there was love, deeply penetrated and pumped into veins like Christmas cocaine. But in this, everyone is high off the beauty created, high off of gratitude, because the only drug they will ever know is giving thanks. Thanks to the known and unknown. Thanks to the primal and the sequestered. Thanks to the creator that taught them to love their skin. Thanks to the apples that showed them the difference between honoring their egos versus tuning into their spirits. Spirits plump with passion for taking care of their neighbors, the way they were taught to also care for themselves. On the seventh day, there was love. Love to feed a dying nation with the nurturing milk of justice and kindness as law. Love that asks for nothing but responds to everything. Love that builds homes out of humans instead of the worship of homes over humans. Love from this divine creator that stretches beyond form, extending into the nucleus of substance. To have my people see that gratitude is the highest vibration, that love can sit in bones even in the wake of unmistakable traumas. Touch thy holy hands, kiss thy holy face, love on these holy feet. For love will be the divine seven imparted in divine minds, that my creation is your creation to cherish, value, hold, sacrosanct, never forgetting that the creation I have sculpted for 6 days lives within you on the seventh in completion. Beyond these 7 days, I beg of you to deposit your tears into the oceans so that the tempest of its waves connect with your heartbeat, your empathy for their plight against plunder. I beg of you to treat nature as the guardian of your galaxy, the way the universe is set up within yourself. But every day, be love. Poem. Thank you.
Awesome, Taneeka. Thank you so much for coming through and sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Taneeka Wilder. Please sure to check for her info in the chat. Now, I'm bringing up the rear, and no poetry event will be complete without me not sharing some of my material. So at this time, I'm going to go up and share some new material that I've written. And I'm going to start off with the first piece. This is my tribute to Amel Leroux, and it's called Gills and Tails. Back in the year 2000, you said you knew I was down. You knew that I was down, but then you asked me when. When am I going to get up? When I'm going to get up? When are you going to get up? Now it's 2023, and it still has me asking the same question: when you're going to get up? When you're going to get up? Because I've been down more than I've been up. Marathon strokes in the deep sea of despair have had me growing gills and tails as I sink deeper and deeper into the abyss. Can I come up? Can I come up for air? Can I come up? Can I come up for air? How factual the unpredictability of life, swimming 1 minute, then drowning the next, praying you're not taken out by the next big wave, while fighting to get to the surface, fighting to breathe, trying to perceive of a better situation other than switching between the doggy paddle and the backstroke or floating helplessly. Can I come up? Can I come up for air? Can I come up? Can I come up for air? You said you were in the company of gills and tails. I may have pulled an Alice in Wonderland, tumbling down behind you, watching your skin grow scales and watching mine follow suit, because we're on the receiving end of lifing. Can I come up? Can I come up for air? Can I come up? Can I come up for air? Life can be one big fight to breathe, like a fish out of water, evicted to an unnatural state of being. Dare we drown or race to the surface to inhale fresh air and exhale the despair and deprivation? Do we stay in the company of gills and tails or leave and remove the gills and tails that have become our own? Can I come up? Can you come up? Can we come up for air? Thank you. So that was Gills and Tails. And this next piece, which is also a new piece, this is called The Other F Word. I forgive you and I forgive me. So now when do we start to feel again? I forgive you and I forgive me. So when do we start to feel again? When? Oh, that F word, which seems to be just as much of a curse word like the other curse word, which we're all familiar with, because it's easy to need it, but harder to give it. But God says, forgive others as I have forgiven you. We cannot be in right standing with God and not with our fellow man. Of course, we don't always want to forgive, but we have to. Forgiveness is for you, not the person that wronged you. And you can't do it in your own strength. You can't do it in your own strength. So I forgive you and I forgive me. Now, when do I start to feel again? Now do I start to feel again? Because if I hate you, what good will that do? So I breathe in and I count to 10. The pain of what happened is real and our emotions are valid. How do we get through being disrespected and mishandled? How do you recover from the loss of respect and trust? Forgiveness doesn't mean act like it never happened. Forgiveness doesn't mean you're letting the other person off the hook. It means giving the situation to God and letting God handle it. It means not allowing the situation to make you bitter and full of resentment. It means giving yourself the freedom from the situation, taking comfort, knowing that God will redeem you. So I forgive you and I forgive me. Now do I start to feel again? If I hate you, then what does that do? So I breathe in and I count to 10. Oh, that F word, which seems to be just as much of a curse word like that other curse word, which we're all familiar with, because it's easy to need it, but harder to give it. Because it never feels good to be wrong. It never feels good to be played for a fool. It never feels good to be taken advantage of. But if anger consumes us, we'll miss out on our blessings that God can pull from the situation. Oh, that F word, the word that's easy to say, but hard to do. Forgive. So I forgive you and I forgive me for not seeing the red flags, for not listening to my heart, for not listening to God when he warned me, for the disrespect that I let slide one time too many, for not seeing that you were taking advantage of my kindness sooner. I choose to forgive. I choose to release. I choose to be healed because the lights are on and I'm coming home. Yes, I'm back with a brand new attitude. I'm back with my heart in my hand because I forgive you. Thank you. So now this next piece is also a new piece. As you may have already noticed, I've been on a writing streak the past few weeks. I'm very grateful for the inspiration, mostly from my group at Poets with Purpose. So this next poem is called A Dream Deferred Part 2. This is another tribute to Langston Hughes, one of my inspirations for getting into poetry. A Dream Deferred. Do you know the sound of a dream deferred? Do you know the sound of a dream deferred? Do you know the sound of a dream deferred? Do you really honestly know the sound of a dream deferred? Does it sound like the 8:15 train leaving the station after the doors closed in your face, after running a marathon to catch it, making you late for the 1 millionth time to your high-stress, low-paying, 3-ring circus of a job? Do you know the sound of a dream deferred? Do you know the sound of a dream deferred? Do you know the sound of a dream deferred? Do you really know the sound of a dream deferred? Does it sound like your boss giving a song and dance on why they can't pay you what you're really worth after they hired 10 other people, after they hired 10 other people after you, offering them generous salaries and benefits while you get your hours reduced and your only benefit is not cursing out your boss or quitting because you still need this 3-ring circus of a job? Do you know the sound of a dream deferred? Does it sound like game show buzzers going off every time your account goes into the negative? So you rob Peter to pay Paul to attempt to put things in a positive balance. But now Peter is pissed off at you because you keep jacking up his flow. And all you can do is apologize and say, damn, I'm just trying to live in these streets. Do you know the sound of a dream deferred? Does it sound like another rejection email laced with saccharine, sterile verbiage, seemingly pleasant to the ears that you've read so many times, you don't even want to open emails anymore to avoid having to completely gag in utter disgust of it all? Do you know the sound of a dream deferred? Does it sound like it will be better tomorrow, but tomorrow comes and it's not all that better than yesterday? So even if you're holding your head high, your spirit is broken and your soul hangs low from complete exhaustion, from trying to be strong all the time, but life keeps breaking you. and you barely have strength to try and pull yourself together again and again and again and again and again. Do you know the sound of a dream deferred? Does it sound like you'll have to live like a starving artist forever? Does it sound like your dream will be deferred forever and you're left feeling mocked by circumstance, those wretched I told you so's, the seething stares of those that hoped you would fail, and you feel they achieved, or excuse me, they feel they achieved the satisfaction of seeing you fall on your face? Do you know the sound of a dream deferred? Or is it really the sound of trust God one more time? Or is it really the sound of God made you a promise and cannot fail? Or is it really the sound of be not weary in well-doing, due season is coming? Or is it really the sound of don't quit, rest but don't quit, you've come too far? Or is it really the sound of there's purpose in you, greater is coming? Or is it really the sound, 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 or is it really the sound of one that's determined? Thank you. So that was a dream deferred, y'all. And I think I'm going to be able to squeeze in one more piece before we wrap things up. Let's see here. Okay, so this is a short piece. It's called Sweet Auburn Nights. It was past 9 p.m. and the lounge was crowded, not surprising for a Friday night. The band played the best jazz from past to present, injecting energy into the atmosphere. We had our favorite booth and we had our favorite meal and drinks. You wore a new dress and I wore my best threads because it was just us tonight. It was our night on the town. It was our night on the town and it was all about us tonight. It was all about us tonight. All about us tonight. All about us tonight. Just me and you, lost in the crowd, lost in the sounds of Sweet Auburn. We looked good and we smelled good and we felt good because it was our time to cast away the cares of the week, to cast away all of our burdens. The music was our stress reliever. It was our time to just enjoy the night. So we basked in the atmosphere and carried it into the street as we left the lounge. The moon was in full, the skies were clear, and I had you in my arm. Atlanta is beautiful at night, and the Southern charm makes it more so. But what's more beautiful is that when I look in your eyes, when I'm with you, you are what completes my evening and begins my everyday. Thank you so much. So that was Sweet Auburn Nights. And as this comes to a close, I want to make note that all of the poets that presented today, you can find them on the Poets with Purpose YouTube channel, where each poet was interviewed in at least one episode of the PWP Sessions podcast. So if you go to YouTube and do a search under Poets with Purpose, you will find all past podcast episodes as well as all past open mics that Poets with Purpose has hosted, and you can see all of their performances and interviews there on that channel. As you may have noted in the chat, you can also find them on Instagram. Each of them has their own Instagram link or page where you can kindly refer to them directly. Be sure to reach out and support these poets, believe in what they do, support what they do. Again, I want to thank Writing the Land and Nature Culture for giving me the opportunity to curate this within their space. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. I'm also grateful for the poets that have represented here today. Each of them is powerful and creative and inspiring and unique in their own right. I fully respect and honor their work and their contributions to the poetry community. I'm grateful for their connections, and I'm grateful for their support of my platform, Poets with Purpose. My platform would not be what it is without their presence, without their contributions, and without their support. So I'm totally grateful and thankful for them and for what they have contributed to my platform, and for each of them making space for me in their own way to do what I do. So with that, I say thank you to them. I say thank you to today's audience. I appreciate your time. I appreciate this opportunity to share my work and the work of my fellow poets of Poets with Purpose. this is just a small representation of what Poets with Purpose is all about. So if you haven't already, please connect with Poets with Purpose on YouTube, connect with Poets with Purpose on Facebook through the Facebook group Poets with Purpose, in order to stay connected to all the latest happenings and upcoming happenings that will be taking place. So again, thank you all so much. Thank you to Paul and his team for helping to coordinate this. I appreciate the opportunity, and I wish you all a good afternoon, and God bless. Thank you.